Hey everyone, Ray from Zapsec here. I'm back today. So today we're going to show a user migration demo, except on this time on first sign-in, we will be showing a passkey setup with Authsignal. So this is a user migration demo where we're migrating off a legacy database and we're migrating to Azure AD B2C. And on the first sign-in, we will set up MFA for the user, but we'll also set up a passkey for the user. And so we'll be seeing this by redirecting to Authsignal's hosted UI to do this. Now, the reason we do this is because passkeys provide a form of phishing resistant authentication, and uh, combining that with MFA gives a stronger posture on account takeover. MFA reduces account takeover by itself, but a passkey can be enrolled progressively, and depending on the environment, obviously it can work quite well as a phishing resistant authentication method. So let's dive right into the demo. So you can see a little bit here. I have my Authsignal tenant right here. Basically, we would just reach out to the Authsignal team, tell them we want to, when we're doing something, and we would create our tenant with Authsignal. Now, to show a little bit of a runway right here, we're still, today I'm just going to be doing a just-in-time sign-in. So I'm going to be in this blue path today. I'm going to be logging in with Billy, just doing a just-in-time sign-in where his credentials are going to get validated against the legacy IDP just-in-time. And, the user is going to get created. We're going to set MFA, but we're also going to see a passkey setup happening, right? So again, we are in the zero lockouts pillar today, where we're showing how do we migrate users. We're showing a just-in-time fallback, and we're showing a no hash carryover. And day zero posture, we're showing MFA enforced at very first sign-in. Conditional access policies are on and they're being evaluated. Dynamic role assignment is going to happen for the user. And we are also going to be in the lower fraud and higher trust pillar, where we're going to show baseline authentication strength with MFA as well as passwordless eligibility happening. Okay, so this allows us to determine, the baseline authentication strength in the lower fraud, higher trust. So we're being secure by default, and we're also having a seamless cut over to the new CIAM platform. Okay, and just to show a little bit about passwordless, again, today we're focused on passkeys. So, this is a FIDO2 implementation. Microsoft has documented partners. And so, Authsignal is one of those partners that works quite well for setting up a passkey. Okay, so it is device binding. That means if a customer wanted to switch a device, let's say an iPhone to another platform, it may have some issues. Authsignal may have done something around this, but in most scenarios with passkeys, it's not device agnostic. The user would need to re-register again. Okay. In one of our previous demos, we did see a keyless demo where that is not FIDO2. It's more an ephemeral biometrics type of product where device binding actually is not needed. So it's really optimized for customer identity management. But in this case, we're going to be seeing a FIDO2 passkey happening with Azure AD B2C. Azure AD B2C does not offer native passkey support. So that's why we need to integrate with a vendor like Authsignal, right? My bet will stay in this tenant, this migration. This migration was from B2C to Auth0. We're actually staying in this legacy to, we're migrating from a legacy database to B2C. So we're still going to be in the blue path, right? Still very similar. So let's go ahead and dive right into the flow, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my Spring Boot application. And before I start this flow, I am going to go and I am going to delete my user Billy so that we can see him getting created just in time. Again, we have seen these in previous demos where we saw Billy getting created just in time with the right access control and whatnot. We're just going to see it happening again, okay? So right here, right? So this is a simulation where, the user, we're now go live, right? So we went go live and the apps are now pointing to B2C. And so the user would log in like they've always logged in. Okay. So whether they log into their healthcare app or finance app, whatever it is, they would just log in seamlessly. Okay. And so I'm going to go ahead and grab Billy's password here. I'm just simulating total, you know, just normal login to the user. What we're going to see is that this user is going to get created just in time inside Azure AD B2C. And what we're going to see is, um, hold on. So yeah, so we can see that we land on this page right here, this Authsignal page. And so, the user got authenticated, that got created in time, and they land on this page. So we're going to click on setting up a passkey. It goes ahead and asks us for FIDO2 authentication, which on the Mac is that authenticator. You would get these codes, so you can download these codes, right? You can go ahead and just download them, save them in there. I'm just going to click on I've saved. You can click on continue. What we would see here is that it's redirecting us back from Authsignal to B2C. So now that we can set up MFA for the user. So we can see that MFA enrollment happens on the first login, right? So let me just go ahead and open my Authenticator app right here. Okay, so any user that just would scan that code, click on continue, they would enter that code. So 072245 is my code. Gonna go ahead and click on verify. Okay, sometimes it asks for a double auth sometimes, so I'm just gonna give it a second here. Give it a second. Okay, so let's get this in there. So it's going to go ahead and verify that code, and it redirects us back to the Spring Boot app. So what we just saw is a user logged into their healthcare app or finance app or whatever. When we've now go live with B2C, we've now asked them to set up a passkey with Authsignal, which is now set up for them. And we have now asked them to set up MFA as well. So if I close this page, reopen in incognito, open localhost again, click on sign in again, and I try signing in with Billy again. And I will show Billy's profile in the tenant real quick. But we will see. Okay, that's a little bit odd. One sec. So sorry about that little technical difficulties, but we can see that when we try logging in with Billy again, it automatically prompts me for a passkey sign in. So I go ahead and sign in with that passkey. Okay. This has a little bit of latency because this tenant is being used with a dev test tenant, but it does take me back to um, this screen. Now, I've already set it up, so I can just enter my code. Whoops. Okay, I'm just gonna have to enter a new code here. Okay. And so you can see that the user logs back in and they get redirected back here, right? So on the second login, we didn't have to create the passkey. The passkey was already created. Okay. So what we've seen in this video is we have seen a migration, right? So I can show Billy's profile real quick before I go too much further. So if I go on users now, again, I did delete Billy's profile, right? So now we can see Billy was created. Again, Billy has been added to the right group dynamically. And so seamless access control from day one. And obviously, uh, you know, we can include the certain right now, I don't have the claims coming up in the ID token, but you can assign that group, that segment, and the app can then control the role-based segments. This is a way we have seen to allow for a identity modernization from a legacy database. We have shown a just-in-time migration path. That's the pathway we're in today. So these would be for the straggler users, right? Again, we've migrated 90 to 95% of our user base, and now we've went go live, and now our apps don't point to our legacy database anymore. It points to B2C, and so the user is hitting the B2C sign-in screen. They don't see anything different. The user just logs in like they always have. The branding is there just like the companies always had, but now B2C is hosting that. And on that first login, they're setting up a passkey via FIDO2 for Authsignal as a phishing resistant method to authenticate. And then they also set up MFA. They also set up MFA for increased security and reduction of account takeover. Again, we were in the zero lockouts and the lower fraud, higher trust pillar today. Hope this helped. Thank you so much, and see you in the next one.